It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with Midi Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at Midi understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and Midi can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. Midi clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of Midi patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
Attention sports enthusiasts, keep the adrenaline pumping and elevate your game day with Chumba Casino. It's completely free to play. No purchase necessary. Whether you're cheering from the stands, on the move, or relaxing at home, Chumba Casino brings the thrill of social casino directly to your fingertips. Experience the ultimate social casino adventure with reels of casino-style games, offering hundreds of exciting options to choose from and fresh new releases every week. There's always something new and thrilling to explore. From action-packed social slots and classic blackjack to engaging bingo and solitaire, the fun never stops. Plus, enjoy generous daily login bonuses and a fantastic free welcome bonus to kickstart your social gaming journey. Dive into the excitement. Discover a world where you can play for your chance to redeem some serious prizes and have a blast along the way. Don't miss out. What are you waiting for? Join now and immerse yourself in nonstop fun and adventure with Chumba Casino. Get in on the action today at ChumbaCasino.com and make every day a Chumba day. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus TNC supply.
Is college really worth it? Giata is a social media influencer who made nearly $60,000 last year. How many hours a day do you work?
Usually 2. I don't know why I'd go to college right now.
College graduates actually live longer.
She is a doctor, but she says her student debt nearly killed her. How much did your debt get up to?
Close to $400,000.
You actually considered taking your own life. Well, tonight we are diving into the heart of a deeply contentious debate. Is college really, and I mean really, worth it? The fact is, tuition and all related costs are completely out of control, with out-of-state students at public colleges paying $46,730, and those attending four-year private colleges paying $60,420 a year. And those are just average costs. But even if you can afford it or do manage to get the loans you need to attend, the question is, what are you getting for your money? Now, for the past century, the general attitude has been college or bust. And when I say bust, I mean no job opportunities, no prosperity, and no American dream. But there are so many other options. The most popular now is becoming an online content generator. Did you know a staggering 57% of Gen Z, that's 25 and under, say they are eyeing a career as a social media influencer? That's right, nearly 6 in 10 young Americans believe that their future could lie in likes, shares, and viral fame. And here's the kicker. A 2023 Wall Street Journal survey revealed that 56% of Americans now question the value of a four-year degree altogether, citing skyrocketing cost and the looming possibility of student loans. So I'll ask you, if given the choice to go to college, to amass debt, and then possibly not be able to get a job in your field, or don't go to college, risk it and become a social media content generator, which would you choose? Now, Mindy is having just that dilemma. Her 16-year-old daughter, Giata, is a social media influencer with over 420,000 followers who made nearly $60,000 last year just through social media deals. Now, Mindy says she doesn't know if she should allow Giata to continue down the path of full-time influencer or push her to go to college. So she at least has a plan B. Take a look.
When Giata was 11 years old, she won a cheerleading competition, which led to a modeling contract.
I was over the moon. I loved it. Soon after I started modeling, I started my first social media account.
Before long, she had 50,000 followers. It was wild.
About 3 years ago, I got my first manager. She found me on some social media app. And then 2 months later, we started filming YouTube videos. On TikTok, I have 138,000 followers. On Instagram, I have 143,000 followers. YouTube, I have 9,000 followers. That's a pretty good list.
Last year, my daughter made over $50,000 while going to school.
Last month, I officially graduated from high school with honors.
She really wanted to get done with her schooling so that she could really focus on social media.
Now you add a layer of icing on the top.
Now that Giata graduated from high school, she doesn't feel like she needs college, and that significantly worries us going forward. If she is gonna go to college, she should start now so that she retains everything.
I don't really know if I need to go to school again because I already have learned the stuff I need for this job. Here's the set. It comes with the lashes, remover, bond glue, and tweezers.
On one side, she can continue to grow her business, not go to college. On the flip side, social media isn't forever.
Hey everyone, I personally don't think I should go to college right now. Let me know in the comments what you guys think.
Well, Mindy, Giata, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So you're really debating what you should encourage, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And do you have doubts?
I have doubts in going to college, yeah, because I'm not good with socializing because of social media. I haven't gone to school in like forever. So I don't know if I'd be good with socializing, and I also don't have a reason to go. I don't know what I would go for.
Yeah. You're a VP of sales, right?
Yeah, that's
Which
correct.
is that's a lofty position, right? Significant company, significant position, no college degree.
I have no college degree, so I basically just worked my way up through technology and ended up in that position. So that's where I really struggle with her going to college and not going to college because, am I the exception to that? Where, a degree looks really great on paper. And when I'm interviewing people, I look for that specifically. So, but I don't want her to go without direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you made over $50,000 last year, which is a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So how many hours a day do you work?
After what I mainly post, it's like 2.
So does it have to be an either or? If it's 2 hours a day, you can squeeze that into your college time.
I don't think it has to be an either or. It's just I don't know what I would go for.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I'd go to college right now.
Do you have any interests that you would pursue? Anything you want to learn about?
Not really. But I feel like with social media, I could do like marketing and do that without a college degree. I know people that do it without, and I have so much background knowledge from my Instagram and TikTok and all that.
And do you know what the average length of a career of a successful influencer is?
To be honest, I think it fluctuates because I think people go in and out of trends so easily, and that's part of the reason I don't know. Like, maybe college would be good because what if it just all ends up shutting down one day because I get canceled, or there's so many possibilities with it.
Yeah. What would you do then? Like, the average length of time is 8 years.
Really?
And that's for somebody that's really successful.
I haven't thought about what after would look like.
Yeah, and see, that's a good thing to do. It's
Yeah.
a good
Concerning
thing
for me as a parent.
Yeah, it's a good thing to think about what would be next. Have not necessarily a plan B, but a next phase. And there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, and congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 16 and making a lot of money, and and doing it in a positive, fun way.
And what you see is what you get. I mean, that's her.
All right, so next, did you know that you could actually take classes in social media and deal with content creation? You can do that in college. And we're going to meet a college professor who says there is a lot more to social media influencing than just making random videos for TikTok. We're going to add him to the conversation after the break. You might hear something that would stretch this out. We'll talk about that when we come back. A healthy life starts with a healthy night's sleep, and Zecliner was designed specifically to promote restful sleep. Studies show 7% of U.S. adults either choose not to or are unable to sleep in a traditional bed. Zecliner offers a superior alternative. The Zecliner is a revolutionary recliner designed by FlexSteel to be both your ultimate relaxation station and making it an ideal bed alternative. The Zecliner is the perfect sleep solution, meticulously engineered with 4 distinct models. Model 1, Model 2, Petite, Model 2, and Model 2 Plus. No matter your size or specific need, there is a Zecliner that's right for you. Zecliner is more than a chair. It's a complete sleep solution. Whether for daily relaxation or as an alternative to a bed, it delivers unmatched comfort, technology, and support. Visit Zecliner.com today to find the perfect model for you. You deserve the Zecliner. Did you know that high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality? 1 in 2 adults has it. That's a 50-50 chance you are a walking time bomb. But here's the good news. You can take control of your blood pressure naturally without relying on Big Pharma. 120 Life combines delicious super fruit juices proven to help lower blood pressure. Backed by hundreds of doctors and trusted by thousands with real results, it's a solution you can rely on. The best part? It's risk-free. Try it for 2 weeks. If your numbers don't improve, you get your money back. Lower blood pressure or your money back. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com and use code PHIL, P-H-I-L, to save 15% and get free shipping. This is serious. This is your life we're talking about. 120 Life can help.
Giata has come to me many times and has told me that she doesn't feel like a normal teenager and that she feels excluded. And if she doesn't go to college, she misses the socialization piece of being a normal teenager. However, am I really going to be paying a university so that Giata can make friends?
Okay, the cost of college has increased, get this, 169% over the past 4 decades, while earnings for workers that are 22 to 27, so graduate age, have increased just 19%. That's disproportionate. Now, why is that? I've actually done some digging around. Yale University, for example, they have 3 times more administrators than they do undergraduates. And in 2019, they added 1,500 administrators and 600 undergraduates. Harvard, they have 1,352 administrators for every 1,000 students. And their explanation was it's mostly focused on DEI. And they got to pay all of those people, of course. So it's getting expensive, but I'm not sure it's imparting any more wisdom. They just got a big overhead. Now, I'm here with Giata and Mindy talking about whether college makes sense or whether it doesn't. And joining us virtually is Professor Erin Denon, PhD from Duke University. Now, believe it or not, Professor Denon teaches not 1, but 3 classes focused on social media content creation. I'll bet these are popular courses, Professor, true?
They are, and I think that's in part of the current zeitgeist that people are interested in social media marketing and personal brand building.
Yeah, and you've got to move with the times, and this is where a lot of marketing takes place. It's where a lot of commerce takes place. What are people mostly interested in? What do the students want to do?
So a lot of what we're focused on in my social marketing classes is understanding kind of the process and the background and the history of social media. I mean, it's easy to talk about social media and think it's this kind of new revolutionary world-changing thing, but the reality is, building an audience for yourself, being what we're calling an influencer now. I mean, that's been going on for thousands of years, right? If you hopped in a time machine back to, let's say, the 1850s, and you talk to someone like a Walt Whitman, right? The famous poet from the day. If you asked him what he was trying to do, he wouldn't tell you, I'm trying to be a famous literary figure. Being a poet was like being a TikToker of the day. Emerson, Thoreau, Melville. I mean, these were some of the most popular names in the world at the time. And so what we have to understand is the technologies have shifted, and maybe now people are on Instagram or TikTok, but in a much bigger context, we've always had these people creating media that's entertained the world.
Yeah, and there are pros and cons to this. And on the pro side, I suppose, it doesn't take any particular training. You don't have to have a PhD or whatever. The apps are free, the content is free, it's a flexible schedule. On the con side, it's really oversaturated. Constant trend changes, and there's a lot of influencer fraud, and it may take a long time to monetize this. You've got students that have anywhere from 2,000 to 2 million followers, right?
And so really a lot of the work I'm doing and thinking about with my creators, especially as they get up into that 2 million range, is right, how do you go from being a person just doing it by yourself to someone who's got a team around you?
Do a lot of these people live just kind of virtual lives?
Being a creator is actually, it's a surprisingly lonely job. People see it and they see on TikTok or Instagram and you got millions of views on something. They must assume it's some glamorous life. And the reality is, that they don't see that you did 20 takes to get that thing, or that 15-second TikTok wound up actually taking you 5 hours. And so what happens is you have this very lonely existence. And so one of I think the best ways to grow yourself as a creator is actually to surround yourself with other creators, because the average person isn't going to really understand you and what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. They're going to kind of make fun of you, maybe I can't believe that's how you're acting, or holding a camera out, or like that's not really you. And what they don't understand is that being a creator is about creating a character that you're putting online. And that's, again, a very lonely existence. So what I encourage, whether it's going to college with a great creator program or not going to college, is finding a community of creators to surround yourself with who understand what you're trying to do and understand that this is a kind of an entrepreneurial enterprise that again can be very lonely if you don't have a great community around you.
Do you get out in the world much?
I travel a lot. Like, I see the world, I guess you could say. But as for like friends and making them, it's really hard, because in the influencer community, a lot of them are fake or using each other, and there's not really real connections. You're not bonding with people. You're making a video and then leaving. And it's very hard to make those real connections when you are in it, because they're worried about their content and what they're trying to get and then leaving, and because they have more to do or whatever. But then when you try and make friends with normal people who aren't doing it, they see it as weird or not, like you're putting this persona up. Like he said, you're not yourself, but it's not about being yourself. It's about being what people want you to be. And I try and be as myself as I possibly can, but there's always going to be that little part of me that's not myself on the camera.
Mm-hmm. How many really good friends do you have?
Like probably 5, but I hang out with my boyfriend a lot. That's helped me, because before him, I didn't really leave my house, because there's a lot of like stressors when you do it, because people can make fun of you or harass you in public because you do what you do, as in social media.
All right, we got to take a break. Next, college educated and working for close to minimum wage. Well, it's happening more than you might think. In fact, it happened to my next guest, Morgan, after she spent 4 years getting her degree. We're going to meet her after the break. With 56% of Americans saying a 4-year college degree just is not worth it anymore, we've got to ask ourselves, why is that? Now, Morgan, a college graduate, says despite getting her college degree, she couldn't find a real job to save her life.
Education was extremely important as I was growing up. My parents did say that getting a good education would lead to a good job. Around 5 years ago, when I graduated high school, I was extremely excited. And then my first year of college, the pandemic happened. I was unable to land an internship, and outside of that, a lot of jobs weren't hiring for those lower level positions. Once I was finished graduating from college, I did not get a job in my field. I worked in the finance industry and banking. I worked in retail, just any job that I could find just so that I could stay afloat. To be able to attend college, I did have to take out about $10,000 worth of loans. And at this point in time, interest has accumulated, about $1,000 added to my debt. About 6 months ago, I finally got my first job in the field that I went to college for. However, the people that I worked with alongside every day, I realized that a lot of them did not go to college, and more importantly, they didn't have the $11,000 of student loan debt that I had. It's extremely frustrating. I don't think college was worth it, unfortunately, because the world has just changed to where a college degree isn't worth as much as it used to be anymore.
Morgan, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Well, so you go and get a 4-year degree in what?
Journalism, communication, media studies.
Okay, and you thought, I've spent a lot of money here, so I'll
Definitely.
get out and get a job in my field.
Definitely. That was what I had been told as I grew up. I did eventually get a job in the field that I got my degree in last year. However, it was quite a long time coming out of college before I was able to do that.
If you knew then what you know now, would you have gone to college?
I don't think so.
Really?
Lots of people that I know that are my peers, even people that I've worked with before, they don't have a degree and they make more money than me. They were able to find a job right out of high school, where I went to college and I did all of that work, and I feel like I'm a little bit behind.
Do you think you could have gotten the job you now have if you didn't have a degree?
I think I could have.
Really?
I think so. I mean, the people that I work with currently, some of them don't have degrees. Even people that I've worked with in other jobs, they didn't have degrees in the field that I worked in.
Because it's interesting, 39% of the people say they could have gotten the job they now have without the degree.
Exactly. I mean, I'm getting, all of this loan debt that I still have to pay back, and I'm stuck at the bottom where I started.
We've actually got a graphic that shows which degrees lead to employment the most.
Interesting.
And television, surprisingly, 79% get jobs in the field. Healthcare, 78%. Business, 78%. Technology, 76%. Humanities, liberal arts, foreign language, 38%. So look at that. That's a huge drop-off. That's like half.
Interesting.
If you get in that arena. So I'm in social sciences and television, so I got 138% chance, right? Or whatever the math is of getting a job. You add those together, I guess. But I'm curious, in the audience, how many of you today think it's worth going to college? Raise your hand high. High school students that are here, raise your hands. Okay, just the high school students, okay? Now, I want to know where you guys were. That's good. How many of you think it's worth going to college? Just the high school students, raise your hand. Okay. Only 7 of you, when we polled you before the show, said it was not worth it. Interestingly, if you go to college, you tend to make 68% more money than a high school graduate throughout your lifetime. And the difference is $1 million. And the difference between a master's degree and a bachelor's degree on an annual basis is about $30,000 a year. So the more education you get, you tend to make more money in the job market. So we're going to have a doctor this conversation who says she was so overwhelmed by her student loans that she nearly did the unthinkable. That's next. The IRS is the largest collection agency, with April 15th fast approaching. It's more aggressive than ever. If you owe back taxes or have unfiled returns, waiting's not an option. The smart move is to get ahead of this. Listen, never contact the IRS alone. Let the experts at Tax Network USA handle it for you. Tax Network USA has a preferred direct line to the IRS. Now, whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, Tax Network USA's attorneys and negotiators have already resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. Talk with one of their strategists today. It's free. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Dr. Phil. That's tnusa.com/Dr. Phil. April 15th is just around the corner. Act now. $36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion, and no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. I've seen a lot in my time, and there's one thing I know for sure. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue throughout 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today. If there's one thing I think we can agree on tonight, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, you have to go to college. Well, my next guest is a doctor, but she says her student debt nearly killed her.
I was around 11 years old when I decided to become a doctor. Physicians make a lot of money, so I just assumed I'd be fine. So when I was looking at medical school and taking out loans, I just assumed that I could pay all this money back, and boy, I didn't understand compounding interest and how it would affect that amount. Easily, over $100,000 of interest was added to my debt. I didn't even make $100,000 for 5 years after I finished medical school. The debt collectors, they weren't waiting until I became a real doctor. They were calling, sending letters. They ripped my credit score to shreds from the 700s down to 380. It was horrible. I couldn't buy sand from a desert, to be honest with you. The nail in the coffin, when I was trying to get a job, the medical school wouldn't release my transcript because of my debt. I was very mentally fragile, and it was a cold, dark night, and I sat there rocking with a loaded gun, crying out to God, and wanted to end it all because I felt like I wouldn't be able to turn things around. And the thing that saved me was the image of my mother standing over my coffin. And I couldn't do it to her.
Dr. Gilliard, thank you for being here and talking about this, because this is real.
Yes.
And it is a burden, and
Yes.
it's pressure.
It is.
And how much did your debt get up to?
With all the penalties and the compound interest, close to $400,000.
That can look like a hill you can never climb.
More like a mountain.
Yeah. Did you ask for help? What did you do?
Well, I did the absolute wrong thing. Because of my mental state, it was fragile. I hid in fear. They were calling about me making payments. I was a resident at the time because most of my loan debt came from medical school. Mm-hmm. And I was avoiding it. I said, oh, they'll wait until I become a real doctor. I like to say that. I was a doctor in residency. We was only making probably $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
And so I was about 6 months away from finishing my residency when I would be making, a good salary, and I'd start then. Well, they didn't wait until that time. And, hindsight's 20/20, playing Monday morning quarterback. If I could go back, I would have answered the phone. I would have tried to set up a plan. But in fear, I just hid away thinking, oh, they'll wait because I can't really afford to pay them right now.
Mm-hmm. And so what did they do?
Oh, they snatched all of my edges off. They ruined my credit. The government was after me because I had all types of loans, private loans, federal loans. I just was taking them out because I didn't understand. I was like, I'll pay it back, who cares? And so all the harassing phone calls started, and they were not nice. And so they were like, pay us back now, do this now. And it just was horrible. And I did it all within myself because I was ashamed to tell anyone else.
And they were pretty aggressive, pretty predatory.
Yes, yes.
So where are you with all of this now?
Oh, I finished paying it off in 2015. Once I decided to come out of my own personal shell and hiding, I realized that I needed a team to help me on that journey. And so I got a financial advisor. I had someone to help me build my credit. So I had all these things in place, and I made a lot of sacrifices. I lived below my means. I couldn't keep up with the Joneses. I had to make a really big mental mindset change as how I looked at, I had to do what was right for Tawana and not what people expected of me. And so I did that, and I just grinded out. Even with setbacks, I just kept pushing until I paid it off.
And with that off of you, obviously you feel a whole lot different, but it got to the point where you actually considered taking your own life.
I did. That was in residency. That was when all of it came to a head. I was mentally fragile on surgery rotation, where you go in when it's dark, you get home when it's dark and it's snowing outside. I was in Pennsylvania. And I just contemplated ending it all because all the dreams I had of setting up my mother and doing all this stuff for her, I was like, how can I do this with all of this debt? And I almost did that.
You said if you could have done anything differently, you would have taken a gap year. What do you mean? Why would you have done that?
I think it's important because I was so driven. I'm very type A. So like, boom, it was always about school. I never had time off. Even my summers in college, I was always in some honors program, always in a book. And I didn't have any time to breathe and just let myself be. And I would have been a little bit more mature.
What would you say today to all these people out there now that are carrying this burden of student loans?
It's just about really owning where you are, giving yourself grace, and come up with a plan. Realize you don't have to suffer in silence because so many people have lost their lives behind this. You don't have to suffer in silence. Do what you can until you can do better.
It doesn't seem fair that the education, they keep charging more and more for it. People are having harder and harder time getting the degrees to pay off.
Right.
And they keep getting in debt. Nobody's talking to them and explaining to them, look, here's the situation. If you get in a bind, do this, do this, do this. Somebody needs to be educating these kids.
Right. I totally agree. And they have to have that understanding of what these loans mean, what it does to them, because it's a setup. When you think about credit card debt and student loan debt, they're both in the trillions in this country. That is horrible. And I think that's important for people to know. And I think it's also important that we don't put these pressures on our kids that, you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. Those are top three. It's important that we really start listening to each other, start talking and being honest about our finances, because families are co-signing these loans and, you can get yourself in big trouble with all of this. So it's important to start having these hard conversations early.
Yeah, you bet it is. And look, there's so much to the question, should I or shouldn't I go to college? And how do you even begin to make sense of it all? Well, we're going to start figuring it out with someone who knows all about it. We're going to add them to the conversation when we come back. Debbie, thank you for being here. Debbie founded Road to College, and her social media group, Paying for College 101, has nearly 250,000 members. Now, I've been watching you take all of this in. You say it doesn't have to be a four-year college to begin with, that there's some really good alternatives out there, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy you did your research. You mentioned something about college graduates being able to earn more than $1 million. And that's a fact that data supports over many, many years, that college graduates actually earn $1.2 million more than high school graduates.
Call me a liar for
Sorry.
For 0.2? I mean, come on.
And there's actually two other important data stats related to being a college graduate. College graduates tend to be employed more often than high school graduates. And why that's important is in times of recession or downturn in the economy, a college graduate can get a job more easily than a high school graduate. They can pivot their skills into new roles, into new industries. And so that just makes college graduates more mobile. And the last, this is kind of an important stat, is that college graduates actually live 7 years longer than high school graduates. So, and some of that comes from the fact that they have access to better health benefits, and they're also just more knowledgeable about medical options. So I say all that, it's a very complicated topic, and you've kind of hit on all ends of it. I do believe that a college degree is worth it, but I also believe that we have to address the costs.
Check my figures on this, but someone with an associate's degree can earn an average of $52,000 a year, a bachelor's degree, $74,000 a year, a master's degree, $86,000 a year. And as I said, a bachelor's degree will earn 68% more than a high school degree. So, I mean, it really adds up when you look at it across time. And that's how you get to that $1.2 million a year over your lifetime. And that's a lot.
It is.
I mean, that makes a big difference when you think about it, but the cost can really get prohibitive.
Right. So I think when you ask the question, is college worth it? There's really two pieces to that. There is, should an 18-year-old, or high school graduate go on to college to continue their learnings? If you take away the cost piece of it. I believe they should. I think a lot of the stats that we're talking about encourage that. I think people in the audience as well have that feeling. And then we have to talk about at what cost should we be sending students to college. We have to be smarter consumers about where we send our students to college. And part of being a smarter consumer is understanding the process of financial aid, about college admissions, and knowing which colleges actually give money to students to reduce the cost.
And frankly, if you choose a college that you can afford, the net effect is going to be a lot better than going somewhere that, maybe is a marquee college. Of course, I've been in business for myself most of my life, all of my life. Nobody's ever asked to see my transcript. No. I don't just play a doctor on TV. I really did go to school. But I went to North Texas State University, and it was a state university, and it was in-state. And it was an APA-approved program, and I did an APA-approved internship and all. And it was really, I think, as good an education as there was to get. But it didn't cost an arm and a leg.
Exactly. So, I think we all have to have a mentality that it is important to go to college. It may not be 100% for everybody, but for the majority of people, it's going to pay off. Yeah. And we have to find the college at the right price. Yeah. It's going to make sense.
But it's not for everybody. I have one final question for Giata after the break. Giata, you're 16 and you're doing really well, and there's no question about that. Have you heard anything today that changes your thoughts about whether you might want to consider college or not?
Well, I'd like to live 7 more years than everybody else, That'd be nice. But I also think hearing about the gap year was really interesting because obviously I'm not 18 going into this, I'm 16, so it's very different. But hearing about the gap year was very interesting, and I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, and let me add something to what you're saying. And I'm a pretty good judge of people. And there are things that, with the passage of time, you don't have to speculate, you can measure. And you've already demonstrated that you're industrious and that you're creative and that you have a work ethic. It's pretty clear. You've also demonstrated that you can kind of isolate some, and that's not a good tendency. And you might require yourself to think about adding some things to your life. And this isn't an either-or equation. You know, you might consider going to college part-time. You might, and certainly keep up doing what you're doing because it's successful and it's also positive. The important thing that I think is you find your passion. And I worry so much about a generation that has stopped living their lives and started watching people live their lives on the internet. And as a result, they just feel like, I don't measure up by comparison. Because a lot of influencers put up a fake life. Giata doesn't do that. She doesn't put up a fake life. She puts up a real life.
Can I commend Giata? I think it's lovely that you were able to listen to what people had to say today. Take a year, try and do the things that you're talking about. Have a plan, have goals, see how far you can get, but keep that college goal in mind as well. And as Dr. Phil is suggesting, and start that, maybe in a year. I think you can absolutely do both of these things and you will be better off in the long run.
Yeah, who knows where you'll be 10 years from now. Just ahead, one of my viewers has a challenge for me, and I have agreed to accept her challenge. What is it? Who will prevail? Well, find out next. Has anyone else noticed a growing popularity in playing app games like Solitaire Grand Harvest? Well, I know I have. You can scan the QR code right on your screen and play along. Games bring people together, encourage friendly competition, and overall, a fun way to work out your brain. Now, Solitaire Grand Harvest is a modern twist on the classic solitaire game we all know and love. And you play it right from your phone. Now, one of my viewers, Adrian, who also loves the game, sent me a video and a challenge. Here's what she had to say.
Yes! Reached another level, Dr. Phil. Adrian here from Houston. I've been playing Solitaire Grand Harvest for over 3 years, and I'm already over level 10,000. I was really glad to hear that you too are a Solitaire Grand Harvester. I look forward to seeing you in Texas, and I challenge you to a game.
All right, so welcome, Adrian. Did you say that you're past level 10,000?
Yes.
How long have you been playing this game?
Well, Dr.
If you say a week, I'm throwing you out of that chair.
No, Dr. Phil, I've been playing Solitaire Grand Harvest for over 3 years now.
So what made you start playing it to begin with?
I always say that Solitaire Grand Harvest is like spicy solitaire. It has flair. Oh. The levels can be challenging, and so that keeps my mind sharp. Playing the game is very therapeutic for me.
Playing app games like Solitaire Grand Harvest can be very therapeutic for people. They are great for helping us de-stress after a long day. These games, they are a lot of fun. Should we give it a shot?
Sure.
All right, so we're going to count into this, okay? Now, give me a head start. Okay, you're on level 10,000, and I'm on it's double digits. All right, you got your phone? I got my tablet. All right, let me hit my button, then you hit yours. Okay?
Go ahead.
Look. Okay. All right, here we go. It's terrible. I did that wrong, I can already tell. What? What are you doing over there?
I won!
What? The goal of the game is to strategically get all the cards off the top, right?
Yes.
And clear your deck. And some levels can be more challenging. There's nothing like that rewarding feeling you get when you finally crack the cards, I hear. The game takes place on an open farm complete with cute animals and relaxing music. There's no time pressure, and you have as long as you need to complete the level unless you're playing a ringer, like Adrian here. But it really is a lot of fun. Yes. I get a kick out of it. So thank you for playing.
Thank you for having me.
Playing games like Solitaire Grand Harvest is a great way to give yourself some me time in the middle of a hectic day. And it's not only stimulating for your brain, but it's also really a lot of fun. So great job. You're really good at this, as we can see. Thanks for being such a great sport. You're going to go home with a $100 e-gift card. Oh! Okay? Yeah. Look, it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a pro like me. At App Games, you'll love playing this one. Just head over to the App Store or Google Play and download Solitaire Grand Harvest or scan the QR code right on your screen. It's free to play, and you'll get a special welcome bonus. So I'd like to thank all of my guests for being here today, and thank you, Adrian, for playing along.
Thank you, Dr. Phil.
All right. And thank you at home for joining us on Merit Street Media. We'll dive into important topics that impact our entire country throughout the day. We're a destination network for the whole family, so you never have to change the channel. Just turn it on and leave it on. To follow along, text me at 59627, or you can text PHIL, Phil, and we'll send you updates so you know what's cooking. Don't forget to pick up my new book, We've Got Issues, How You Can Stand Strong for America's Soul and Sanity, wherever books are sold. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Who's ready to level up their mental fitness and win the seconds of the day? Well, at least that's my goal. Join me, Mark Champagne, on Behind the Human, a podcast where I dive into the stories and practices of extraordinary individuals. From billionaires to Olympians and cultural icons like Tony Hawk, each episode unveils the pathways and the mental fitness strategies that propel them to the top. Now available on all major podcast platforms. Here's Thriving Minds.
Hi, I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm very excited to tell you about Beautiful Anonymous, a podcast where I talk to random people on the phone. I tweet out a phone number, thousands of people try to call, we talk to one of them, they stay anonymous, I can't hang up, that's all the rules. I never know what's going to happen. We get serious ones. I've talked with meth dealers on their way to prison. I've talked to people who survived mass shootings. Crazy funny ones. I talked to a guy with a goose laugh, somebody who dresses up as a pirate on the weekends. I never know what's going to happen. It's a great show. Subscribe today, Beautiful Anonymous.